was like, me? It's like, yes, like, have you ever thought of doing ministry? I'm like, ministry? What the hell? I tell my local pastor, and he's just like, there's already one. And just know that she's having hell. Just know that you won't be ordained. Just know that you won't be accepted. Just know that you're going to be ostracized from my own peers. I remember one of the seniors came to me and said, no, we have a problem with the way you dress. And I found the society has double standards for women. Sometimes God makes sure that certain portion of the journey, you're blank. Because if he could show you the crocodiles and the you wouldn't want to go. That for me pains me is that sometimes the biggest opposition and ostracization is from women. That's my biggest pain.
A timely voice.
Adventuality SA presents
The greatest want of the world is the want of men. Men who will not be bought or sold. Men who in their inmost souls are true and honest. Men who do not fear to call sin by its right name.
Men whose conscience is as true to duty as the needle to the pole. Men who will stand for the right to the heavens, boy.
The Advent Pod SA.
Well, you know what time it is, ladies and gentlemen. It is the Advent Pod SA. A timely voice indeed. And guess what? We are recording live from Host with Grace, man. We are all about creating graceful experiences. Well, man, you know, we've got such an honorable guest with us this morning or this afternoon or this evening, whenever you're watching this. Now, there's a saying, and I need to usher you into the dispensation of self-introspection and evaluation. What if you don't know what you've been called to do because you've been called to do something no one has ever done before? Who better to answer that question than the first female pastor in the Trans-Orange Conference to be commissioned, the fifth in SAU, the current TOC Women and Children Ministries Director, Muruti, Tataiso, Lindiwe, Maforah. Muruti, thank you for coming through.
Thank you, Onkgapile, for having me.
Great. We are blessed to have you here. Just want to ask, man, maybe the people are watching like, hey, Muruti, we thought you were going to be Adon like Ellen G. White. What's happening?
What's happening?
I see you on flick, hey,
Keep on. I like to say that the calling does not take me away from the fact that I'm a woman and I embrace my femininity. God created me a woman for a reason. So God actually called me into ministry as a woman because I'm a woman. Sure. Because there's something unique that I bring to the table. And hence he doesn't want me to alter myself, but to bring that essence, which is Tataiso. And a part of it is being feminine.
So it's all about... So identity does play a role. You don't need to be in a certain way that society has structured you to be or expect you to be, but you need to be who you are.
I don't believe in putting a fake persona in order to do ministry. I believe that even my messages, my sermons really come from an authentic part of my life experiences. I'm a person who wears my heart on my sleeve.
All right.
So there are times where I've preached with tears on the brink of my eyes because I'm speaking about a painful experience that has happened recently. But people can connect and touch it because it doesn't feel like it's a rehearsed speech or like I'm not an orator. I minister, and my life is like it's not really like an example, but my life is the vessel that God also uses to show forth his message. Like he'll say something to me in my life and then I'll say, okay. And then I'll portray it to people. But sometimes I'm not even ready to say the message, but the Holy Spirit will be like, it's time. And even sometimes you heal while bleeding. Sometimes you heal and speak from a healed point of view, but you let the Spirit lead and shape you as the vessel.
Ruth, I can't help but to detect that you are a proponent of authenticity.
Indeed.
So you're saying it's not a performance of an hour, what we see there on the pulpit, but it's an outflow of life. Now, we're speaking to Tataiso Lindiwe. We see her preaching. We see her as a leader in the church. I think that's the end product. Tataiso,
Tataiso Osha got like stop Matlosana in the Northwest Province.
All right.
So I'm a Tswana speaking girl.
But Lindiwe?
Lindiwe is a name that I got from my paternal side of the family. So my father is Xhosa speaking, and there was the year I was born, unfortunately his favorite aunt had passed away and her name was Lindiwe. And so he gave me that name. But I actually want you to ask me about Tataiso because
well, I know guys to Barilina ke se Romo.
Yes.
Yes. Where does that come from?
Okay. So Tataiso, let me first start by explaining the name, because a lot of people they're like, what does this mean? Especially if you're not Tswana speaking. Yes. So they'd be like, utitata kumtana.
What does it actually mean?
So then I'd have to explain that, okay, firstly, as a concept, besides, before we get into the etymology of the word, just generally in our lived experiences as Botswana, it's that moment where you take a baby that's learning how to walk. And then you want to teach them how to feel the motion of walking. So you'll take the baby and you'll put their tiny little feet on your big feet. And then you start to walk with them step by step so that they feel how it feels to stride and walk. And then from that, they learn how to walk. And then finally, Tataiso, you teach them how to walk. But Tataiso generally just means guidance. But I can't just say guidance because I feel like the context it makes it more beautiful. So my grandfather felt that at the time when I was born, a lot was happening, but he felt like God was literally saying, okay, I know you can't walk this part of the journey, but I'm going to pick you up, put your little feet on mine, and we're going to take it step by step. So that's my name.
That's so interesting, because I'm thinking of your life's journey, but we'll get there in terms of how you have actually lived that, epitomized that. So that's Tataiso from? Klerksdorp. Oh, I know. Next to Kuma, I think it's just
yes.
Next to Kuma. And you are a female pastor.
Correct.
I want to know what gets, before we get into ministry and everything, because you so much on identity, right? You're not going to tell me how I'm going to behave myself, right? You are not going to tell me. And because I just want to know what gets you ticking. What's Tataiso's life like? What do you get up to? Let's forget the pulpit a bit. Let's forget the conference room. What gets Tataiso kicking? Because you seem like a lively person. I'm expecting to be this boring pastor, LNG white, heavenly minded yet earthly useless. But what gets you seem lively? What gets you ticking?
Okay, what gets me ticking? What gets me lively? I'm actually a nature girl. I like to tell one of my friends that I'm a hippie.
The pastor's a hippie.
I'm a hippie in the sense that I am happiest by the mountainside, or like looking at the mountain view. I'm happiest by the river, by the beach. So if I'm in nature,
by the beach, just to ask, so when you go to the beach as a pastor, hey, they always say the weaker brethren will be tempted. So when you go to the beach, what transpires? Is it do you wear a suit or what happens?
I wear what is beach appropriate for any woman and human being, which would be a swimming costume, sometimes even a bikini. What gets me ticking or whatever, I'm a huge gym fanatic as well. So So I work hard there. Yeah. And I also love music. Oh, I love music. And my
What type of music?
like I was about to say that.
Heritage singers?
Yes, no, yes, definitely. But I'm just saying that I have a broad array of musicians. Yes, I listen to Heritage, I listen to Gaither, etc. I also listen to Oli Mwango, I listen to Benjamin Dube, I listen to John Legend.
Babylon.
I listen to John Legend. Oh, I listen to who's this one? Manana.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
I'm also a fan of like soul music. I love soul music so much. But there's one who's watching here, you know, sitting in the outskirts of Limpopo saying, I'm Ruth, you listen to John Legend. Isn't that Babylonian music, man?
I believe that musicians, we are the muses, like life, like they take, okay, it depends on the artist, obviously, but the ones that I'm referring to, there's some heartbreaks, for example, that I will not be able to articulate with my words. But I'm like, how did this artist get to...
Don't have to interpret
Yeah.
soul at this point.
Yeah, so I really feel that we live life, and it's not only encompassing of spirituality. Not only are we spiritual beings, we're emotional beings, we're intellectual beings, and etc. So it's not like even when I read, I only read Christian content. You still need to know other spheres of life in order to survive.
All right, Murut, let's get into ministry.
Ministry, okay.
Tataiso, Lindiwe. So I want to know, right? You know, others will say God spoke to me, you know, things like that. But I just want to understand, if you look back and introspect on your life journey from your local church and your upbringing, was there always that inclination that, you know what, I want to shepherd God's people? If you take us back to
childhood.
Yeah, childhood. Was it? Were you active in the church? What was happening? Okay. Yeah.
So, I was raised by my grandparents because my mom had me when she was young. Okay. So, my formative years, my mom was in varsity at UCT, and I was in Klerksdorp with my grandparents. So, one significant thing I remember is that my grandparents were colporteurs. So we had...
Maybe just let them know.
Okay, so a colporteur are... Let me just say, our grandparents used to sell Christian content like books. Even colporteurs now sell CDs. So I'll just put it in a broad context that you like a kum books. We sell Christian content, but back in the day, it wasn't an actual bookshop. They would go house to house and show their catalog that we have books on health, we have books on relationships, etc. And they'd sell those books for a living. And then a percentage would be given to the church and another percentage would be given to the colporteurs. Yes. So that, I think there was a time in my grandparents' life where that was their sole source of income. And at home, when I was born, we had this Bible story. I think it's bedtime stories, something like that. But they were bedtime stories. But we had like all the volumes. Like if there were 30, there were 30 books, and all of them were for me. So every single night.
From the time you were born.
Yeah. So like from the time, every single night. Yes, they do the lesson study, but because I was the only grandchild at the house, I would then be fed daily Christian content. I remember that they get to a part where my grandfather was a very interesting man, because in some families, the man is the house of the home. He's the priest of the home. And he's the only one who has a say in biblical matters and prayer and stuff. But my grandfather would ask 4-year-old Tataiso, wow, what do you think salvation means?
Sure.
He'll ask me theological questions, or he'd say, what do you think about heaven? And I remember there was there was a pastor, Pastor Anakoka and his wife. They would move to Klerksdorp and they stayed with us for a couple of days. And Mom Anakoka always calls me the antelope lady. There was some story. Okay. There was the Bible story was being read, and then the antelope lady's dog passed. And she says that I was asking that when we get to heaven, will the dog also be there? She's like, yeah, you used to ask such random questions. So that's like that I'm talking about being a toddler and stuff. So I was already being asked biblical stuff, blah, blah, blah. And I remember my mom then, around primary school age, I moved to Cape Town to stay with her. And she says that I would be that child that prays for people in the prisons. Or like I'd pray a long prayer. Like,
this is grade 7 now?
No, this is still, remember, toddler is...
toddler. Oh, yeah, yes.
But now I'm 8. No, not 8. I'm 5, 6, 7. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Almost grade 1-ish. I would make those long prayers.
Yeah. Spiritual woman, eh?
How do you know abantu base jealous? Like, yeah. So my mom says I was really spiritual, and my grand says, my grand really says that I just had that knack for spirituality, but in my eyes, I didn't see it. So there's some things that people around you see but you don't see. And so when I got to high school age, my grandfather, it was just before high school because my grandfather passed away when I was in grade 8. Okay. But in grade 7, he felt that I was ready to be baptized. And I always used to see people getting baptized were like in their, like late teens or 20s. You know, like that decision you really need to make it understanding.
Maruta, you're talking about baptism, ne?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I see people getting baptized at the age of 13, 14. And I'm asking myself, have you sinned? And like, what are you actually repenting from? Because I know I got baptized at 16.
Yeah.
And to be honest, it was because I wanted to participate in the church, but it's fine, yeah.
So my grandfather his belief was that there's nothing I haven't taught you that you don't know about your faith. And I feel that you exercise it daily and intentionally so. But I felt that me choosing baptism is a mature step for a certain age group, and that I'm just too young to be looking that serious.
Yeah, I mean, high school now, yeah.
Yeah, but then I went to grade 8. So my grandfather already saw it in me, but I didn't see it because he would ask me anything about the book of Revelation, what. I would know because it was a daily Bible study thing at home. So when I got to grade 8, my family chose Blue Hills College.
All right.
Which is Midrand, which is, so Adventist and everything. And we had our chaplain, Brother Vusi.
Tiband.
Yes, and he's the one who actually, I think, lit the spark. And made following Jesus fashionable.
Wow.
And even though my grandfather had already passed away earlier on that year, but in October, I think me and 5 or 6 of my closest friends decided to get baptized on the 14th of October. I'll never forget that day. So that was...
But how did Vusi lit this up? Like, if you can just take us through that.
Brother Vusi made us choose Christ from a place of gratitude. And like from a place of gratitude for what he's done for us and all that we have, but also just to see the beauty and the burden, like there's so much extra stress that comes with living a wayward life. And to just show you the perks and the benefits of just choosing Christ's way of living. And I think that appealed to us more than anything. It didn't come from a damnation.
Going to hell. That's so true. That's my qualm with Masupati. And I'll say it here. And I was telling my friend, I think when you look at Masupatsela, it's not really accepting Christ, but running away from hell. And that's why they're so angry. I don't find I don't find it appealing. It's like, guys, I'm doing this because I'm running away from hell. Like, I don't want not that Jesus, I'm running away from this, and it's so I love it.
Yeah, so that's what Vusi did for us. Sure. By the way, we've been given such beautiful snacks. I really think you should.
Yeah. I was thinking.
Indulging.
I was thinking.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, Vusi really did a good one with us.
Yes.
And all of us, the ones that I got baptized with, are still in the faith.
Sure.
Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Are still hard in the faith. Giving it our all.
But I want to know, so after getting baptized, when was this? How old were you?
I was 14. And imagine the year before, I thought I was too young for such stuff.
Yeah.
I thought I was too young for such stuff. But now, the very next year, I guess I just needed to be... Oh, another thing about young people is that a concept is... Okay, should I call it a concept? Yes. Yeah. A concept is more attractive. It's attractive when they experience it amongst their peers.
Okay. Wow. A concept is more attractive when they experience it amongst their peers.
Yeah.
Which I'll have to agree with, actually. So I want to know. So obviously you get baptized now. You're a girl on fire. You feel like you're never going to sin again in your life, right?
No, that's not what Brother Lucy told us. No.
All right. So you get baptized, right? And what role do you now play at Blue Hills at your local church? Because I just want to check, like, whether those, we all have gifts that we have to showcase to ensure that the body of Christ is effective. What else Tataiso doing at this point in time?
Okay. Yeah. Well, I was still a junior at Blue Hills at that time, but what I would actively do, I think I mentioned earlier on that I love music. So I was in the choir. I had a trio with my friends. So I was doing that, music, but also I think there wasn't a Pathfinder club when we had arrived at Blue Hills. So I think we were the first group to start a Pathfinder club at Blue Hills. So yeah, I was still very passionate about Pathfinder ministry. Yeah.
Now you're no longer passionate. Are you saying you're?
No. No, my line of work doesn't give me enough exposure because of being in a high office. But if I was in a local pastor, yes, I would engage in Pathfinder ministry.
All right. Now you're doing music, Pathfinder clubs, and so forth. Obviously, when you're in high school, there's an academic route you're heading towards. When you went to Blue Hills, what did you want to become? Did you know that, what, I'm going to go study theology? What? Yeah, where were you heading?
Look, I didn't know where I was heading. Like there are people who know what they want to do from
a young
age, but I didn't fall under that group. Sure. I just knew what subjects I had a knack for. And when I was at Blue Hills, I had a knack for the sciences, funny enough. Physical science, biology were my stuff. I wasn't a maths person, but funny enough, the sciences were my thing, and languages. Give me a speech. I'll do it. Give me a book and summarize it. I'll do it for you. So that was I then automatically thought that I'll probably fall in the sciences, health, whatever.
Maternity,
that
not theology at this point. It's
not theology, definitely not. So something happens in my teens. Klerksdorp gets we are a mining town. There's a mining town called Stilfontein.
Yeah, okay, yes. I think it's on your way to Kuma.
On your way to Kuma, yes. So we're a mining town. So we kind of have random disasters. Sometimes we'll have tremors. Yeah. But we had like a mini tornado situation. It out of nowhere, and a lot of houses and homes were obviously destroyed. A lot of churches were destroyed. But what was beautiful was that the Seventh-day Adventist Church remained intact.
Sure.
And we became the hub for the rest of the community.
Yeah.
And then my mother decided to open a youth group that was called Heartbeat Ministries. So she was using the teens and the kids from church. And because of, people lost their loved ones, people lost their homes. It was just sad times. And she used us to go house to house and preach messages of hope.
Sure.
Obviously, like the Dorcas.
Through Heartbeat.
Yeah, through Heartbeat. Adra and Dorcas played their part.
Yeah.
Obviously, of financial
Yes.
assistance. But as kids, my mom felt like, no, let them do something. And it had a great impact because you're there in your house, maybe you're mourning a loved one, but then you get a 5-year-old, for example, standing there and saying, God loves you.
Sure.
It looks so trivial, but it did something. But when we kept on doing this and seeing the impact it had on people's lives, I was like, wow. You get career exposed, and then people will be like, if somebody woke you up in the middle of the night and said, do your job, and you would be able to do it without hesitation, because it just feels natural. You just love what you're doing. If I did this for the rest of my life, I'd be happy. But at that time, you know what my definition of that was? Christian counselor. The word pastor was not in my purview. There was no female pastor in Clarksville.
So
I was just like, I'm going to be a Christian counselor. That was it. Yeah. So that's now I'm like getting closer to the vision. But that was the closest I was. So when I got to matric, my aim was psychology at UJ. Wow. That was my aim.
Because this was your ikigai moment. When they say like you find a job in which you'll never have to work a day in your life.
Yes.
This was, I want to be in the trenches with, spreading the word of God.
Yes.
So this was when?
This is, okay, let me just say, this is around, I'm in grade 10, 11, yeah.
So you're a Christian counselor, you're going to go study psychology at UJ. And how do you arrive to Somerset West?
So,
Helderberg College.
Matric comes.
Yeah.
And then I apply for UJ, and I just want to go to UJ. I don't know why. Yeah. And then I don't apply for other places.
Really, just say UJ.
I just say UJ, and I'm like, I'm making it there.
Yeah.
And then I get there, we regret.
I know UJ.
And I'm like, what?
What's happening?
I passed with a BA and everything. What's happening? So I was like, okay, I'll take a gap year. And during the gap year, ask
Maruti,
yes,
to that young person.
Yeah.
I applied at VETS, at UJ. We regret. What would you say to him or her?
I have this concept that there's no plan A and plan B of your life story.
Sure.
Your life happens the way it's supposed to happen. And I feel that we frustrate ourselves so much with the picture or the plan that we've drawn for ourselves. Yeah, so we frustrate ourselves with the plan that we have mentally visualized for ourselves. And the sooner we realize that whatever looks like a mishap or whatever looks like is derailing your process, sometimes it's actually God's plan in action. So even when you plan, make room, make space for God. There's a poem that pastors or preachers or poets like to use, which says like, disturb us, Lord.
Hey, come on, by St. Francis Drake. Hey.
Exactly. So sometimes that is just God disturbing your plan and actually realigning you. And one last quote my grandmother used to love saying to me when I'm disappointed about something. She always used to say, our disappointments God's appointments with us.
Come on now.
So at that point,
Sure.
when you're disappointed, God is actually saying, you've been busy, so I actually need you to take a pause because I need to speak to you. I need an appointment with you. Hlala phansi vele, sit on your ass. And let's have a talk because now you are willing to listen.
Now, let's talk about you now. When God has set this disappointment, so that He can have an appointment with you. Are you depressed? You feel like I'm Dimu Christian counselor. What's going to happen to me? What's happening during that gap year?
Funny enough, during that gap year, I'm chilled. No, funny enough, I was chilled.
But I'm sure you had already envisaged to wait. I'm a
weirdo.
Right, yeah.
I was chilled because my mom was just like, you know what, it's fine. She put it nicely. She's like, even white children do it. White children take gap years. It's just that we don't have money, but maybe you'd be an au pair overseas. But you know, but you can still be useful. And in our local church, then we were useful and stuff. But then during my gap year, an older sister, or like my friend's older sister, goes somewhere. And I think she meets Masabata Mahlala or someone, a female pastor. And then she comes back and she's like, I met someone who reminds me so much of you. I was like, me? It's like, yes. Like, have you ever thought of doing ministry? I'm like, ministry? What the hell?
What is that?
She's like, girl, I see it in you. I was just like, okay, whatever. Then I go to a camp meeting that year.
What's happening? Okay, yeah.
Slowly but surely.
Slowly we get there, yeah. Yeah.
So she.
Yeah, you meet
wait.
Masabata.
So I go to this camp meeting and I meet Masabata. And I tell you, something lit. Something lit inside of me, and it was just a light bulb moment.
Sure.
And this is where I'd like to say, this is why I like to say it's so important to have female pastors.
Okay.
Because some things you never know are possible until you see that it's possible. Like, it's so for little girls that God has put spiritual gifts in their hearts, but they don't even know whether they are worthy or if it's actually allowed for them to actualize their spiritual gifts. There's nothing as important as making sure that on that podium on a Sabbath, there's at least more than one gender on the podium. Because you are crippling your girls with just this whole male
dominated.
This fraternity, because you mute our minds. Like, it mutes the mind of a woman.
Because like you, look now, you had you didn't think of it so much. You're like Christian counselor, not a pastor, because I've not seen this happening in and now we are crippling, you have been crippled. But then you meet Masabata and everything changes. What did you see in her that really lit up the dream, that passion in you?
Remember, the light bulb moment already came when I was at Heartbeat.
Yeah. Yes.
I was doing it, but I was doing it as a youth ministries. And I was like, if I could do this for the rest of my life,
I would do this.
But I was a Christian counselor. And then I see her doing exactly that which I did. I was like,
girl.
That's the one. Yeah. So that's what lit it.
So would you say meeting Masabata led to you saying, you know what, I'm heading to Helderberg? But Tataiso, at this point, Moruti, I don't think there's ever been... Okay, well, you've seen her. So do you think, you know what, I'm going to champion this course and I'm going to apply?
Yes.
And you saw yourself now transitioning from being not just a Christian counselor
to
being a pastor.
Yeah.
When you headed to Helderberg College, you knew that, you know what, one of these days I am going to be a pastor. It's fine. And then let's go now. You're in Helderberg, you're studying.
Oh, wait, can I go back?
Yes.
I've made my decision. I need to tell my parents.
Oh yeah.
My parents are.
Sorry, yeah.
My parents are supportive. Oh, you want to do that? Okay, it's not far from your character. That's fine. Then I need to tell my local pastor.
Hey. Uban.
I think let's not do that. And it's very interesting. So I tell my local pastor, and he's just like, there's already one. And just know that she's having hell. Just know that you won't be ordained. Just know that you won't be accepted. Just know that you're going to be ostracized. Like, when Moses sends the spies to scout Canaan, and then they come back with the fact that the grapes are as big. The grapes?
Yeah, the grapes.
Are as big.
Yeah, good one. yeah.
As the heads of the giants. Oh yeah, no. As big as our heads, because those people are so huge.
Yeah.
I got that report that you try ministry, your life is gonna be hell. Do you think you can take it? Do you think you can handle it? And I said, it's fine.
It's fine, you're gonna handle it.
It's fine. Whatever. I don't even think that at that age I am actually comprehending
the reality, what is gonna be.
I just went, yeah, it's fine. And at that point in time, I'm being told that the president is the one that's ostracizing the only female pastor that they have.
Hey.
And this is the same president that needs to sign my letter to allow me to go to study. And the pastor's like, I wonder if he'll even sign it. And I was like, okay, let God be the judge. And then it went, and the president was like, okay, no, it's fine. I'll allow it to go study. And then I made it to Heidelberg. So we arrive at Somerset West. I was already a problem.
What do you mean?
I was a problem in the sense that I don't have a persona. I think some of the female pastors had already lived life. Were more senior.
Okay.
And hence the way they carried themselves is more conservative. Even the
norms.
Accepted norms, and it's also age appropriate. So there's already a certain image of how a female pastor is supposed to act and dress and look. And then you're coming from a person who wears spaghetti, not what do you call those, flip-flops? Okay. Who wears flip-flops and wears the dress,
jeans, sneakers,
you
can see here.
So I caused a stir. And I was like,
this rebellious one.
No, because from my own peers. I remember one of the seniors came to me and said, no, we have a problem with the way you dress. And I found the society has double standards for women. My peers were wearing their shorts and flip-flops and t-shirts.
Your male counterpart.
Yes.
Okay.
Flops, t-shirts, shorts to class. I'm wearing, it's summer. It's February in Cape Town. February is hot in Cape Town.
Yeah.
I'm wearing something like this. Okay, so my shoulders are out. Yes, it's summer. It's hot. And the brethren had a problem. And I'm like, if you were in any other university and you were a first year student and you walked there on campus, what do you think the girls are wearing? They're wearing what I'm wearing.
Sure.
I didn't come as Umamfundis. I came as Tataiso, 19-year-old Tataiso. I'm 19. I'm not 30. Okay, I'm still in my 30s, but I'm dressed like this. But I don't. What do you know when you're 19, 30 feels old. I'm like, why the hell was I hating on 30-year-olds?
Now you're there. You have arrived now. Eh? What are you going to say? Yeah.
So, yes.
And I think this have tastes now. First year, like, hey, of the struggle. That you would say, now I'm going to champion. And they're telling you.
Yeah, now they're telling me that it sounds it feels like ISO.
It sounds, I hear you, the voice.
Like I'm ISO, like I'm trying to look like I'm ISO, but the voice,
Jacob.
You know. It's not Jacob's voice. You don't look holy.
You're not looking, but they are not. You see, and I love what you're saying, the double standards that we have. It's like the males can have it their way, but women must, in a way, I don't know, be subjected to some form of regulation. So that was your first struggle there at Helderberg. But did you overcome it? Were the gents now, did they get used to you?
I've always been a firecracker. So I said, it is what it is. This is who I am. I'm not changing for anyone. Another thing is, my mom brought me all these clothes. If you think you have better sense than my own mother, ooh.
Wow.
And would you finance a whole makeover? You wouldn't. You can't afford it. You're also a student. So let's leave this debate. And then came to academics. Helderberg then had 3 streams.
Yeah.
There was pastoral care. And there was this notion that women are supposed to do pastoral care because it has to do with counseling, emotions, etc., etc. And funny enough, I'm supposed to be going there because
Counselor.
Christian counselor.
You should be going there
Exactly. And then they've got this one. They were like, Abafundis who want to be crusade evangelists, they must go for the evangelism stream. No, it was all BA theology, but it had streams, like specialization. So there's a pastoral care specialization, evangelism,
evangelism.
And then there was the last one, which was the academic stream. Okay. So I'm like, academic stream. I'm like, what is it about? They're like biblical research. They specialize with the ancient languages, Hebrew and Greek. So it's more academic. You write thesis and blah 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 papers. Blah, so you're an academic. And I was like, okay. And they're like, but you, this one, all the women do it. All the women do it. And then they're like, evangelism, you can. I have a friend assistant. Go to academic is too hard for you, Shem.
Sure.
It's too hard for you. Like,
don't even try. Don't even go.
Even men fail Hebrew and Greek, so you won't be able to. I was like, okay, I'm choosing academic.
Come on now. Yo.
So I go to the academic stream, and first year the biggest boogeyman was Hebrew.
Oh my word.
And at the end of the year, I had the highest grades in the class. Same
one I said.
Same one that is too.
You want to prove your point,
bro. So I think so I had a knack for academic stream. I'd be in the dean's list, like
must eat. We must eat, guys. It's so delicious, but I'm sorry. The conversation is amazing. The food is we are trying. Sorry, I will eat.
Talk about force feeding us.
They're force feeding us.
But the food is delicious.
Okay, So you are beating all the odds at this point. I want to fast forward to 2014 with the Honorable Dr. Clifford Nhlapo.
Oh, graduation, yeah.
I don't know if there's anything you want, any struggle. No. Right? Apparently, you had a meeting with the great doctor regarding employment prospects in the church as a pastor, but most important as a female. How was this meeting?
So every year at Helderberg, the 4th year students, so the BA theology is a 4-year course. The 4th year students have an opportunity to meet presidents from all the conferences in the SAU.
All right, sure.
and then we are given an opportunity to be interviewed. Yeah, so it's like a job.
Really?
So it's like a job interview, and then but you go to the conference you
Want to work for?
So at this point in time, TOC has a political split.
Oh yeah.
And my family is in Alberton.
Like stop. Yeah, I see.
And then the presidents that come for interviews are from Orange Grove.
Yeah.
And I knew that it was going to cause drama at home. So I was trying to be conservative to say, let me not rock the boat by probably having to be put in a space where I'd be pastoring, but I'd have to be on opposing sides with my own mother, my own uncle, my own aunt.
Sure.
So it actually came from that. And so I then went to KwaZulu-Natal Free State Conference. I didn't even go to the TOC interview because
it was the political climate at the time, I can imagine as well. So.
Yeah, it was awkward for me, I must say. So then I went to NCSA, and NCSA were like, we only have one female pastor, and we don't think we're gonna take any more because it's a struggle. I was like, okay.
Is that the president?
Yeah, that was the president then. And then I went to KNFC, and they at that point already had two. So I knew that they're more open-minded. But I definitely knew that the Cape Conference wasn't for me.
Why?
The language barrier is hectic for me. But even with my practicals, they were struggling to get the concept of women on a pulpit, on a general
So it's much more conservative,
They're
I guess.
more, yes, indeed. And the Northwest is more open-minded. So I go to the KNFC.
Yeah.
And I'm with the president then, Mfundisi Nhlapho. And yeah, he heard, he looked at my academics, blah blah. He was like, this is impressive. And he was like, why? I get the fact that you want to work in ministry, but why didn't you go home? And then I told him the
situation.
Yeah, and then he's like, okay, no, I could still take your application, but honestly, if it wasn't for the drama, where would you want to go? And that's how that answer came. I said I would definitely plow
I
back
want to
home.
work for the
I
TOC.
I want to
work for my...
Yes, because the TOC raised us. My spiritual formation is highly influenced by youth camps. Every December, you'd find me at Tivumbeni, Tawung camps. Like,
So you want to work, you want to go to KNFC, you want to go to NCSA. I want to work for my home conference.
My blood was just saying,
TOC.
we used to call it the mighty
TOC, I know.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think I see the name Tataiso coming here, because at this point, Tataiso, you see that, man, there's TOC Alberton and TOC Orange Grove here. There's a conflict. The NCSA is saying we've got we've got already one pastor. The other one is conservative. But it seems like there was this burning, I don't know, inclination in you to be a trailblazer. What influenced you to believe that, you know what, I am going to work for my conference. I'm definitely going to be a pastor.
No, you know what? I actually think that I thank God for blind faith.
Sure. All right.
I thank God for He knew why I needed to do a lot of things in naivety. Because if He actually showed me the full picture, I'd be trembling.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have said yes. I wouldn't have said yes to any of this. So it was honestly, there was no, no. It was blind faith. It was blind faith. And sometimes God makes sure that certain portion of the journey, you're blank. Because if He could show you the crocodiles and the you wouldn't want to go. So it was honestly, I just knew that I've done my 4th year. The next step is to get employed. I didn't even feel like I'm going to be a trailblazer. That wasn't in my mind, because if I had the word trailblazer in my mind, do you know the connotations of being a trailblazer? That if there's a thorn bush, nobody has created the path. You are gonna have to run through those thorns, through those stones.
Somebody give Tataiso
to make way to make way for the people that are coming after you. There's no glamour in that. There is no glamour in that. If I came with that mentality, I would have turned back. There's nothing cute about being a trailblazer.
Sure.
I would have turned back.
You're leading me there. I like when you say you would have turned back. Fast forward, you get, I don't know. So, but how did you then get to Dr. Justice Mongwe, or the TOC executive? How did you then?
The conversation with
Dr. Okay.
I was like, yeah,
okay.
Go next door, please.
All right, okay, cool. And didn't your family feel like, you're betraying the struggle? Why are you leaving now? Did they feel that way? But you proceeded and
They did. I actually had a talk with Professor Plykes. He's late now, but he was the Dean of Theology at Heidelberg then. And he said, taking your politics out of the way, when we're just looking at like job prospects situation, if you were at Alberton, he was just looking at pros and cons.
Yeah.
If you're at Alberton, your growth, you can only grow until the top of Alberton. But when you're aligned with TOC, you can branch to other conferences, you can branch to the union, sometimes you can even get to division, GC. Like it was just saying, like, I can't box you in, but I'm just saying that your scope of opportunities broadens up more in the mainstream, way of doing things, whatever, professionally. So he was just saying that for me, I get your alliance with your family and all of that, but that aside, those politics have nothing to do with you. Those are two presidents who have differing views about whatever, about a political process during a session. But you, on the other hand, you're doing your ministry, and you need to do what works for you and benefits you at the end of the day and puts food on the bread. I mean, puts
food on the table.
Food on the table.
Yes. So you get this letter of
acceptance.
Hey, employment acceptance.
Yeah.
Right. First church, I want us to take us through. Man, I cannot imagine having a female pastor. Well, when I was young. Now you are called to be a pastor. How's your experience? First day at church, Muruti Kiona Musadi.
So I love what Dr. Mongwe and Pastor Tammy Dangla, so Dr. Mongwe was the president, and the secretary during those years was Pastor Tammy Dangla.
Yeah.
They were very intentional about me. They didn't leave anything to chance. So there was a district, they called the entire Diamond Heritage District, that is in Kimberley, South Africa. Kimberley, Taung, Purumong, those, Warrenton, Pampierstad, those towns together. And they said, we're going to meet at a central venue, sort of like camp meeting style. And we're having Holy Communion, but we're also welcoming your new pastor. My biggest advantage about this is that when I arrived in the Diamond Heritage District, a few years earlier, Pastor Masabata Mohlala was there.
There's actually some visionary leadership. Okay, I get
and
the point.
She had done a great job. But unfortunately, the president before, when she was working, didn't allow her the opportunity to serve as a pastor. They gave her a primary school, yet her academic qualifications were not. We're not being a teacher, yes. And the churches would then hear her preach and find that she is so dynamic. And even though they were local pastors, would then use her, but sort of like by Amchonja. But they already had an idea that, okay, there is capability, but others would be able to disrespect her because they got the cues from the top of how to deal with her. Now then the president's like, okay, we're gonna switch the script because as a leader you set the tone.
Yeah.
And your
Constituency
will follow. So they said, okay, we're gonna go and we are 100% pro her. And they did the Holy Communion and they said, here's your new pastor. And by the way, we are not serving. Okay, so first they ordained as an elder, as is correct according to the church manual of the Seventh-day Adventist Church.
Yeah.
And then after that, they said now that she has been ordained as an elder, she has all the powers to serve Holy Communion. And I, as the president, will sit at her feet and she serve the congregation. She will preach. I'm here as the president, but she will preach.
Come on now.
I'm here as the president, but she will feed me Holy Communion.
Yo. What?
It is finished. Tetelestai.
Hey. Wow, I didn't know that. So I guess they set the momentum for you now.
Yes.
And the church is like, if the president can do this,
Exactly.
who are we?
So actually the biggest strides I've ever made in ministry are actually from men who are pro-women. Because women have been speaking for generations and no one listens to us because we speak, but it's like we are voiceless. But once a man speaks, unfortunately, people listen. So men can use their influence for the betterment of women. They do not understand how strong their support really helps us in ministry. I always say that I stand on the shoulders of giants. I stand on the shoulders of Dr. Plaikis from Helderberg, who saw my gift of preaching. And I remember we had a homiletics class and he was like, from everyone, you did it for me. Like that year he and apparently years after I left Helderberg, he always used to say, that Maforah girl, she preaches. He used to call me the Maforah girl.
Yeah, Maforah girl.
And I went there like 2-3 years after graduating and they were like, Tataiso Maforah. It's like, we're always hearing about you at class. But he affirmed me.
Yeah.
It's the likes of Dr. Gwala, who was my Hebrew professor, who even up to today, if he hears that there's a retreat and it went well, he'll be like, Ntombi, you did beautiful, Mtanam. Or if he hears that my name is under scandal or under ridicule, he'll say, you know what, this is not uncommon to man.
Sure.
It happens, but chin up. Till 2024, Dr. Gwala will check up on me.
Wow.
I stand on the shoulders of giants. Bro.
Wow. You know, I know they tell me we've got 5 minutes and so forth. Guys, we're going to bring it for part 2, all right? But I need you said something very important. Like, you know, being a trailblazer, you got to open up the paths.
Yeah.
Mruti, I'm sure you've been wounded along the way.
Yeah.
Take us through a bit of those wounds and, yeah.
Okay.
What has been the greatest of challenges?
Funny enough, one would assume that the greatest challenge of my wounds would be being called Jezebel on social media.
I saw a post on Facebook. You're actually baptizing. I don't know where you're baptizing. There's this guy called, I don't know, Rotondo. This guy on Facebook that Advent. This lady, look at her, she's wearing makeup, red nails, Jezebel baptizing in the church. Yeah. I guess that doesn't touch you.
That doesn't.
But I want to know what touches you then.
So I want to get there.
By the way, so you're not important, brothers. Guys, if you really are in the business of, you know, throwing this woman down, you're irrelevant. Let's hear him.
So for me, what caught me off guard was the treatment I get from my own. You know when you're a trailblazer, you're doing all of this for the women who are coming after you.
All right.
And okay, I'm just going to give you one instance. I don't know if I should tell the story, but maybe let me tell it just to, I was at a church and my then husband was pastoring that district. And I was there as the Mamuruti.
No, that's Muruti, ne?
No, I was
According to that.
yeah. Then I was there as the Mamuruti,
Yeah.
and I was also a speaker for that camp meeting. And then it's time for foot washing. I'm in the house of God. This is foot washing. This is the time when we're all supposed to. Yeah, it's a solemn moment,
Okay.
and there was no one willing to sit next to me. Like, I was ostracized. There was no one willing to sit next to me. There's no one willing to talk to me. There's no one willing to wash my feet. And they'd done something like this. Everybody must sit on, for example, the left-hand side if you haven't washed your feet.
Sure.
And then everybody who washed must sit on the right-hand side. People kept on moving in that two by twos from left to right until I was the only one left.
And
then
it's a woman.
Yeah, and the person said, has everybody washed? And I said, no, I haven't. And yeah, but anyways, I was just saying that the pain that that for me pains me is that sometimes the biggest opposition and
Ostracization.
ostracization
Yeah.
is from women. That's my biggest pain.
That's been your wound. That's fine, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sure, but there's a positive to this. What has been the greatest of joy in your journey?
The flip side of that.
Which is?
Seeing women liberated, seeing my work make a positive impact in another woman's life. I feel that my ministry is to women because they've been silenced. Okay, they have been silenced in the church. And I just make them aware that you also have a role to play. God also has plans for your life. And as much as, yes, you are the helpmeet, but the word is a kenedo doesn't mean helper, or you're a maid. The word is a kenedo, when you look at it in the actual Hebrew, it means like if you're in a military situation and you're looking for military aid and you need to get a treaty or whatever, or like, I mean, not a treaty, but go get an ally. That's the word, get an ally. You will go and meet your is a kenedo.
Sure.
Meaning they're of equal substance, power, and what, but just from another angle. And they meet and fight the enemy together. And in life, men and women, we both have the same enemy.
Sure.
That is trying to divide us. And we don't realize that we're busy putting hierarchies and what, and fighting amongst each other when we're supposed to be each other's allies and win the battle together. But here we are.
Now, Muruti, as we conclude, right?
Sure.
Looking back at that 19-year-old girl, that 4-year-old toddler, what would you say to her?
What would I say to her? I'd say, I'm actually proud of you.
Sure.
You didn't know that you carry such a weight, such a responsibility, but you held yourself with grace. And for that, I am proud of you.
Yo.
And never try to fit in. To your future self, never want to fit in. You've always been awkward. You've always been a weirdo, if I can put it that way. But it was for a reason, because you were called for something greater. You were called for something unique. And you're doing just right, actually. You're doing just fine. And continue to be confident with yourself. Don't doubt yourself. Everything is happening the way it's supposed to. Just trust God.
Sure. Muruti, last one. 30 seconds. What would you want us to remember you as?
I'd like you to remember me as Khaleesi, the chain breaker.
Yeah.
But yes, a liberator of women. Khaleesi.
That's 15 seconds. I'll get another 15 seconds. To that young lady who's watching now, who's a preacher, who's gifted, what's your message to that young lady?
That gift has been given so that it can be utilized. Utilize it and don't fear the future. God has got you. No matter what people may say, no matter how many naysayers, God always fights your battles. You don't even need to lift a finger. Just do what you've been called to do. God will sort out the rest.
Well, it is the Adventport SA, Muruti. Wow. What a blessing.
Thank you so
May
much.
God bless you. May expand your territory. Yeah, wow.
Thank
What
you
a
for having
message, hey? Ladies and gentlemen, it is the Adventport SA, a timely voice indeed. And we're with our pastor, Lindiwe, Maforah. Thank you so much. Be blessed. Thank you. Muruti, thank you so much.
Ah,
Dizoqhubeka ukumkhonza ndingadinwa wazifela izono zam. Hallelujah.